Hello everyone. Azure CLI returns JSON output, and to query a JSON output, JMESPath is the way to go. And when you have a complex JSON file, you may want to try how your query might look like when you put that in the command. So you can try out many different tools to achieve that. One of the ways which I found is very convenient some time back is the Visual Studio Code. And in the Visual Studio Code, there is an extension available for JMESPath query. So I installed that extension called JMESPath for Visual VS Code. And once you install, you can just open any JSON file and then start writing query against that. So for example, I have this JSON file available which holds information about few employees. It's in form of array, you can see that, and each employee contains name, email, and city, and one of the employees has got name and salary, and that doesn't contain email and city. But the salary again is a property, and inside that property you have got an array of values inside multiple properties within the same property. So you can go deeper into that and then try to find that. To launch JMESPath query, what you need to do, you need to just go to the command palette and then select JMESPath query for JSON. And then if you select that, it will allow you to type that, but the output will be displayed in the output window. So if you go to this output window here and then enable that, it should show up over here. Now you can see that the output shows all of them because the default JMESPath query is set. So what I can do, I can now launch the command palette, select the JMESPath query, and I say employees, and you can see all the employees. Now if I want to just view the first employee, I can use the array, and in JMESPath you can mention the index, and then you can mention things like slicing, etc., which are allowed. So it starts with index 0, so the first employee will be this, second employee this, and third employee this one. If you want to really go detail about, let's say, what is the salary in the month of Jan for that employee, so you can say I want to get the salary, and it will show you all the sal, and then you can just go and select the month January. So that's where you go deeper inside your JSON properties. You can even get all the names of all the employees. So if you say I want all employees and show me their name, so it will only show all names of all the employees. So if you're retrieving all the virtual machines, you want to know the names of the virtual machines, so you can do that using JMESPath query. If I now switch to my Azure CLI and then use a simple Azure CLI command like, let's say, VM list, this will give me the list of virtual machines I have in my Azure subscription created, either running or deallocated mode. But if I want to, let's say, retrieve the specific VM and then I want to show that VM, so it will only display the information app about one single specific VM. So it gives me, you can see the default output type is JSON. So you can change this behavior to a different format like tabular, tab delimited, etc. But JSON is something which is quite popular, and then that's why it is by default. And now if you just go inside and then try to query against that, instead of you trying that every time you make a query, CLI will go fetch the data, retrieve it, and then if the query is not right, you have to write it again. So for you, it is a lot of wait time. Maybe if the internet connection is slow, you have to go back again and again. So instead, what you can do, you can just copy the whole thing. Either you can pass it to output, let's say out.json, and then this file will be created inside your working directory. And then if you go ahead and say that out.json is created, and if you say out.json and then you can copy the content of the file. You can see this is the file you have here, which contains all the detail. If you just copy the content of the file, let me just come out of that and then paste it in your Visual Studio. It will basically display something like this. So you can have all the properties and etc. Now you want to really play with this output and see whether your JMESPath query really works. So for example, if I open the JMESPath window and I say this value, you can see say Berlin profile. And the display is null. So let me see what is host. I can go into host. Let me check what is the, yeah, it looks fine. You can see there is no error in that. Let me just save this file, and once I save it, I can just try running the JMESPath query. I know that it will work. If I just go ahead and say host, this will work in the CLI. What do you need to do? So for example, if I try one more time, you see null, which is not the case ideally. This is not a query, so it will not give here. But if you go back here and then say JSON and then use the switch query, and then I say host is null. Okay, host is anyways null, so that's why it's showing. Probably I'll use name. Name. You can see the name is coming. If you try to go inside some deep inside one of the properties, let's say OS profile admin username. So if you try using this admin username, it won't show up, right? You can see that the data is not coming. However, if you go here, say OS profile and then say dot, and then you say OS profile. OS profile comes under the root, so it should actually show the value. Let me see if you say username, nothing, OS JMESPath. Okay, not here, so I'm in a wrong file. So I'll say this, Control Shift P, OS profile dot admin username. You can see the name is coming, and I can also check what is the computer name. That is the OS name of the computer. So computer name, and then you can see the name of the computer showing up over here. So you can go deeper inside that. Now, for example, if I have to use this this value in my thing, I can just say give me this, and then the value comes here in your screen as the computer name. So you can test in your Visual Studio Code by copying the JSON output, and then using the JMESPath extension, you can try out the query and then use the -- query to pass on the JMES query expression to get the output, which is quite convenient way to work against Azure CLI. With this, I want to thank and have a great day.